half hour, we're dedicated to answering your coronavirus questions. The latest local cases of coronavirus might have you thinking about food safety. 4 new cases are at the Foster Farms processing plant in Kelso. And Whole Foods says an employee in the Pearl District store died. And another at the Hollywood store tested positive for COVID-19. So let's take the topic of food safety up with our live guest tonight, Dr. Claire Wheeler. She's a public health specialist and works with PSU and OHSU. And Dr. Wheeler, when it comes to transmission, is food a risk?
If this question had been asked about a month ago, I think the answer would have been probably not. And I think it's really for everyone to understand that this is a brand new phenomenon that we have no experience with, and we're learning every single day how this virus behaves and what it does. And it seems to surprise us at every turn. So we are now at the point where studies have come out of China showing that the virus is present in the stool, particularly children. So the parents taking care of kids could potentially catch it that way. And also people have symptoms. Their gastrointestinal system is involved in about half of all cases. Now, we know that the virus infects by attaching to a particular molecule called the ACE2 receptor. That is present in the blood vessels, in your lungs, in your heart, in your brain, and also in your gut. So you can get infected in your gut by this virus. And in fact, there are some recommendations now. If you're living with someone symptomatic, or if you're symptomatic, flushing the toilet is an aerosolizing event. And so you need to be super careful about that and always close the lid of the toilet before you flush it. And I would recommend that everyone do that, whether you're symptomatic or not, because every time you flush that toilet, it just goes into the air and can be inhaled. So maybe you're just going to have a gastrointestinal infection with this, but if someone actually inhales those viruses from the toilet, then they're going to have the much more serious and potentially fatal pulmonary infection.
You're right. We are learning so much about the coronavirus. It seems like every day. I remember we talked about food about a month ago, and look at all of the data that's been available since then. We've also heard about a second wave of coronavirus. So the director of the CDC said today this second wave would not be worse than the first wave, but more difficult because 2 viruses would be circulating at one time. What should people know about that?
This is so important for everyone to understand. We were lucky this time because the flu season was ending, that curve was coming to an end as the COVID curve started. So we had 2 humps. It's possible that the timing is going to be different in the fall, so that both of them are going to become more active at the same time. One thing for sure, flu is going to follow its usual schedule. And so the first thing that everyone should be considering is get that flu shot. We really don't have the level of flu shot uptake that we really need to have. So if you haven't been getting it, you feel like you maybe don't need it, please get it this year, because at least you'll be protected against influenza. Because what we're looking at the possibility of is both curves happening at the same time, which pretty much doubles the height, and will end up put us in a lot more difficult situation than we are right now.
And when could that happen? I mean, what months are we looking at?
Yeah, so we don't really know. Now, as far as the reemergence of the COVID goes, that really is up to us and how we behave, because it doesn't look like warm or cooler weather really has an impact on how this virus circulates in a population. So if we lay low for another month or 2 and we get that, the new case rate down, that curve way down, and then we ease up, we are going to have another wave. There's no doubt, because the virus will not magically disappear just because we cut down on the number of cases. So if we stay, like maybe we start to reemerge during the summer, we have another curve of corona, and then maybe we get that back down again. And then it's going to be a tricky timing, lifting these behavioral methods that are suppressing COVID, and trying not to do that at the same time that flu is definitely going to be on the rise. And, that happens, October, November, and then it's in full swing by December and January.
I also wanted to ask you, but doctors in Seattle are giving a round of second shots in a COVID-19 vaccine trial. So is this good news? Does this mean the trial is going well, or is it just too soon?
No, this is very good news. And actually, this is one of dozens of vaccine trials that are happening all around the country. So this could being the one that we all get, or maybe not. But when you are testing a new vaccine, there are stages you have to go through. And the very first round of testing is just to make sure that people don't have adverse reactions to it. So we aren't even looking to see whether or not the vaccine, quote unquote, works against the virus. Right now, that first round was to make sure faint or have any other adverse reactions. This second round is now going to be trying to actually elicit a good immune response, and what we'll be doing after the second round of vaccine injections will be taking blood and seeing if people are building up the level of antibodies and T cells that they need to have true immunity to this infection. So it's very promising that we're moving on to phase 2 in this one particular study.
Oh, good. I think we could all use some good news in that department. And then just last question before I
some
let
good
you
news.
Go. Yes, some good news, exactly. I also wanted to ask you about antibodies. You know, we keep hearing about antibodies. When will widespread tests be available for people with antibodies, or to see if you have the antibodies?
If that is the $100,000 question. Anyone who really knows their stuff with respect to epidemiology and infectious disease control knows that we have to be able to measure those antibodies, who is truly immune to a particular infection and who is not. And as soon as we can get that, that'll be a blood test, not the swab test, but a blood test. And there are some, Abbott, I believe, Laboratories has released a very rapid response antibody test, and we just need to get that distributed throughout the entire country so we can all do it. I anticipate if people are really taking good advice, there's going to be a major push for this, and hopefully sometime this summer we can have widespread antibody testing.
Another good news, leaving us with some good news. All right, thanks, Dr. Wheeler. Thank you so much again for your time.
My pleasure.
And you know, we've heard that big parts of rural Oregon have not really been touched by the coronavirus. So what does that mean for their hospitals? KGW's Pat Doris looked into it and found they're struggling financially.
Small town hospitals in Oregon are really struggling right now. They're basically making no money. In fact, they're losing a lot of money. And here's what's going on. When COVID-19 got really bad, all the elective surgeries were canceled. That was probably a good move because it was intended to preserve a lot of that personal protective gear that the frontline workers needed. But there was also not a big surge of COVID-19 patients in a lot of these places. So the hospitals are basically empty, and they are losing millions of dollars. I talked with the CEOs of 2 different big organizations in Southern Oregon. They did get some federal stimulus money in today and yesterday, and they say, yeah, that does help for now. But they're worried about a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now. They think it could take 6 months from whenever the governor gives the okay until things return to normal. And they're going to be losing money the entire time. That's what's going on with small town hospitals in Oregon.
Thanks, Pat. You can send in your questions anytime. The number is on your screen, 503-226-5111. If we don't get to your question tonight, we'll be answering your questions right here at 7 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. And up next, what financial relief is in sight and when will it arrive? We'll take a look at the local and federal funding that could be on the way. And one of the most popular questions being asked by parents to medical experts are playgrounds safe? According to the CDC, the answer is no for a variety of reasons. They may have multiple people there and could exceed the recommended guidance for gatherings. Their surfaces may not be cleaned or disinfected. And young children who have touched equipment and then touched their hands or their face may be spreading the virus.
Shop from home with Gresham Subaru, and we'll deliver to your door. Go to GreshamSubaru.com.
You know what we need right now? Some good news. Something that says when it matters, this town shows up. Well, I give you the KGW Great Food Drive. Together, we have raised over 3 million pounds of food. That is amazing. This has been our best food drive ever. So thank you. And thank you to our sponsors, Bob's Red Mill, your local Toyota dealers, Rivermark, and Safeway. Together, we are making a difference.
Are your kitchen countertops and bathroom showers putting your family at risk? Hard surfaces look smooth, but have thousands of microscopic peaks and valleys. That's how dirt and bacteria penetrate countertops and showers. It's below the surface where you can't clean. Permatreat has the solution. First, we lift it all out, then sterilize to hospital standards. Finally, seal your hard surfaces to help repel stains and bacteria. Keep your home safe. Call Permatreat today for a free estimate.
At ToughShed, the safety of our customers and workers is our first priority. ToughShed.com allows you to learn more, design buildings, and even complete a purchase safely from home. Virtual sales and design consults are available too. Our construction teams are working to safely manufacture and install buildings with extra precautions around distancing, cleanliness, and never entering your home. Homeowners today have pressing needs that go beyond storage, like a home office, room for the kids, and space to relax. Address your building needs safely and easily at ToughShed.com.
Deborah Norval's personal COVID-19 story, the wild swings, the changing diagnosis.
Well, I have it right now. But how accurate are the tests?
Next, Inside Edition.
Tonight at 7:30 on KGW.
Physical distancing, it seems to be working.
Flattening the curve.
But we're not done yet.
Not yet.
Let's rise up and hold the line.
We've got this.
We're standing strong.
Holding the line together. And welcome back. Small businesses want more help from the federal government. When could that happen and who will get the money? Lindsay Nadridge has some answers.
The first batch of money for small businesses in the Paycheck Protection Program went quickly. The U.S. Small Business Administration processed 14 years worth of loans in less than 14 days, totaling more than $311 billion. But thousands of small businesses are still in need of financial help they can't get until the nearly $500 billion relief bill passes. The relief bill includes more than $320 billion in additional funding for the Paycheck Protection Program, and about $60 billion of that would be set aside for underbanked businesses, like those in rural and minority areas where people have trouble getting loans. Many expect the second round of funding to go just as fast. The Senate passed the interim spending package Tuesday. The House is expected to vote Thursday, and President Trump said if the bill passed, he would sign it into law.
Let's talk more about this next round of federal funding. So in the first round, we saw some big businesses get relief money meant for smaller operations. So our big question, are we going to avoid those errors this time around? NBC News senior business correspondent Stephanie Rule has the answer.
Most likely no. The government did carve out $60 billion for smaller lenders that'll hopefully get to smaller borrowers, but they also didn't change the rules. So that's just $60 billion. Take the rest of the money and you can still be any business with 500 people or less. There was a lot of people very angry to hear that Ruth's Chris Steakhouse got in there. But there's an exception that says if you have less than 500 employees per location, then you're in the clear. So Ruth's Chris was allowed. You've got financial institutions that aren't suffering, that aren't needing to lay off their employees. Because remember, this program is about saving companies from furloughing their employees. The government is paying the money to keep their employees on so we can get through this time. But they haven't set a requirement for businesses, so lots of businesses are looking at this like an earnings optimization strategy, and they're not the neediest. So yes, $60 billion is set aside, and we're hoping it gets to those people. More money means more opportunity for more businesses, but it's not going to be enough.
What about emergency funds at the local level? The Oregon Emergency Board plans to allocate more than $30 million. It includes $12 million in rental assistance for Oregonians who have lost their income. Also $10 million for workers who don't qualify for unemployment benefits or wage replacement payments. Another $10 million will go towards an assistance program for small businesses. Up next, busting some of the top coronavirus myths. There are a lot of them. Will warmer weather protect you? And can you check if you're sick simply by holding your breath?
Be prepared with facts, not fear, on KGW and KGW.com.
Airstream Adventures is on a mission to make Oregon the safest place for children to live and grow. That's why we support the Oregon Network of Child Abuse Intervention Centers, which works to end child abuse through assessment, treatment, and prevention. Because all kids deserve a childhood full of great memories and adventures. Please contact the center to find out how you can contribute to this important work. Everyone should have the opportunity to explore new lands and discover new friendships without boundaries.
For Hyundai and its dealers, the health and safety of our local communities have always come first. And right now, we're all safer at home. But should you need a vehicle, we have options to shop online, and a participating dealer will deliver it right to you. And to ease the financial strain, you'll make no payments for 4 months. Together, we can create a safer, better car buying experience.
Get 0% APR for up to 84 months on the 2020 Tucson or Elantra and make no payments for 4 months. Visit HyundaiUSA.com today.
To our Fred Meyer associates, for the long hours and late nights, for the miles traveled and the shelves restocked, for making a difference in our customers' lives, for doing so much more than your job. Everyone at the Kroger family of brands and our customers say thank you. In a time when daily life feels a bit uncertain, your hard work is keeping America fed. Fred Meyer, fresh for everyone.
From our family to yours, we want to encourage you to keep going. Keep protecting what's most important. Keep hopeful in the face of all this. Keep believing. Keep being strong. Keep supporting the people on the front line. Keep staying together while staying apart. Keep being fearless. And most of all, keep dreaming. If you have any concerns about your policy coverage or about making payments, please call us. We'll keep being here when you need us.
This is our home. We've never seen it look quite like this.
But there's no mistaking it.
And it's our job to protect it.
Because the best people to fight for our communities
are those within them.
So if you've just bought a Volkswagen, or we're thinking of buying sometime soon, we're here to help with the community-driven promise.
Here's a short list of some of the most viral coronavirus myths of the past couple months. First, there is no evidence linking 5G to the spread of COVID-19. In fact, the disease has spread just fine in places that have yet to roll out 5G. So it doesn't look like 5G really matters much when it comes to the spread of COVID-19. You've also probably seen a number of different ways you can kill the virus or prevent yourself from getting it. Let's go over a few of those. You can't kill the virus by standing in sunlight or warm weather. Cold weather won't prevent you from getting it either. You're not going to prevent infection with saline rinses in your nose or drinking a lot of water, and you can't rely on your stomach acid to kill it. The CDC has found virus in the fecal matter, meaning it went all the way through the body. You've probably also read that a book by Dean Koontz from 1981 predicted the virus. Yeah, his book now refers to a virus called Wuhan 400, but it shares almost no similarities with COVID-19, except that it came from the same city. Also, in 1981, his book originally placed the virus in Russia and called it Gorky 400. It moved to Wuhan sometime later in a rewrite. Some have also claimed that you can check if you have the virus by holding your breath for 10 seconds and seeing if you feel discomfort or if you cough. This doesn't work as a way to check if you're sick. In fact, the WHO says this is dangerous. The best way to find out if you're sick is to just go ahead and get yourself tested. The best way to find out information about the virus is to visit the WHO or the CDC website. Treat those claims you scroll past on social media with some skepticism.
There are still a lot of questions on how the coronavirus is spread. For instance, many people still worried about it living on their mail and packages. I asked NBC News medical contributor Dr. Lippy Roy about the transmission points for the virus.
Yeah, we know clearly that this virus is transmitted through respiratory droplets. We know that for a fact, and so that's why we constantly tell people to avoid touching their face, to wash their hands. That's the main point to remember. Now, for this particular virus, we believe that it can survive or it can be active on like cardboard for 24 hours. That's why they recommend keeping cardboard boxes outside for 24 hours before bringing them in. I would also just recommend that people check the CDC website in terms of guidelines for what surfaces need to be cleaned and how. But for the most important thing is to just make sure you wash your hands and maybe wash certain outside of packaging and maybe use utensils to take food outside onto a plate. But check the CDC website for specifics.
And thank you to Brittany Falkers there. It's very early, but there are some positive anecdotes coming out about a certain antiviral treatment. But what do we know about its success so far and its potential in the fight against the spread of COVID-19? Dr. Joseph Fair has the details.
It is a positive and early success story, perhaps too early to declare success, but there's at least a second trial where remdesivir, which is produced by Gilead Pharmaceuticals, is an antiviral drug that was first developed for Ebola. The first trial occurred in China, and so the drug first had its positive effects there, that it was shown to have positive effects there. And so this is now the second completed trial and the first one in the United States to demonstrate the same promise for the drug in the treatment of COVID-19. So this, along with the potential for the treatment with a convalescent serum, that serum from people that have survived already COVID-19 and that have recovered and developed protective antibodies against it, gives us at least two drugs, or two treatments rather, which are close to being in humans. The convalescent serum closer of the two, and then the Gilead perhaps quite closely, remdesivir quite closely as the second, depending on if these trials are accepted for enough as use for emergency use authorization by the FDA.
And up next, on this Earth Day, are we actually seeing a positive impact on the environment as we all stay home and stay healthy, and will it last? But first, with the changing mask guidelines, you wanted to know, should or can children wear masks? The answer, the Oregon Health Authority says they shouldn't be used on kids under 2 years old. Never put a mask or face covering on an infant or an adult who is not able to adjust or remove the mask themselves. This could really compromise their ability to breathe.
Your news when you want it. Follow KGW on Facebook.
We're at the movies and we need to silence our phone. Who knows where that button is?
I don't have silent.
Everyone does, right up here.
It happens to all of us. We buy a new home and we turn into our parents. What I do is help new homeowners overcome this.
Was that an adjustable spanner? Good choice, Steve.
Okay, don't forget, you're not assisting him. You hired him. You have nowhere to sit. You have too many. Who else reads books about submarines?
My dad.
Yeah.
Oh, those are...
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto when you bundle with us.
Look at that.
We are at war with a virus, and healthcare troops and first responders are on the front line fighting it every day. Let's join the fight by staying home. Staying home is not a retreat. It's the most brave and aggressive weapon we have against this enemy. Because when we do stay at home, we help prevent overwhelming our hospitals while buying time for our scientists to find the vaccine. And that is how we beat it.
I'm a Subaru Outback owner that bought my vehicle here at Wilsonville Subaru, and we live south of Salem. I'm out in farm country. I was willing to come all the way up here to purchase my vehicle, service it on a routine basis, really because of customer service. The folks here are wonderful. They know me, they know who I am, they know what my work is, and every time I come here, whether it's somebody from parts, service, come up and say, hi, how's things going? How's your photography going? I haven't experienced that anywhere else. So that shows that it's, to me, like family.
Providence caregivers are working day and night, risking their lives to save the lives of others. But we are in this together. And so many in our community have stepped up to help with donations, with encouragement, with love. You can support caregivers on the front lines. You can speed research efforts. You can help. And if you need us, we'll be here. Give today at providencefoundations.org/COVID-19.
Small businesses are at the heart of our community.
Right now, they need a little help. Let's come together and give them that help.
Yes, we're open.
If you're a small business that is open during this time, send us a 10-second commercial.
KGW is going to help spread the word. Yes, we're open.
Yes, we're open. Small business owners, go to kgw.com/open and sign up today.
Deborah Norval's personal COVID-19 story, the wild swings, the changing diagnosis.
Well, I have it right now, but how accurate are the tests?
Next Inside Edition.
Tonight at 7:30 on KGW.
Social distancing won't stop the human spirit. It only makes it stronger. A way to rally together for everyone. When we rise up as one, and together, we stand strong.
And welcome back. On this Earth Day, the Verify team asks, how is the virus impacting the environment? Emissions are down, but will it last? Evan Koslov talked to the experts.
From the smog-free Los Angeles to empty streets in New York City. Just look at Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Usually party central, now it's empty. So let's verify. Has the coronavirus actually changed our environment?
My name is Simon Evans.
My name is Dr. Brian Duncan.
My name is Peter DiCarlo.
This group of experts is keyed into all the data.
That's a huge drop.
Dr. Brian Duncan is from NASA. He shared this remarkable before and after satellite picture of the Northeast, showing that nitrogen dioxide levels, an air pollutant, were down some 30% in March compared to normal.
And we're seeing it in places like India, of course, in Europe and China. It's really astounding.
But what about the big picture? Can we actually put a number on the drop of carbon emissions?
It's actually really hard.
Simon Evans, a UK-based climate journalist for Carbon Brief, tried to do just that. He spent weeks collecting data on oil projections, electricity demand, factory outputs, and formulated this estimate: an expected drop of 2,000 million metric tons of carbon emissions. That's a reduction of nearly 6% on the year.
This is going to be the biggest reduction in annual carbon emissions ever recorded, by more than double.
But we should remember, this is temporary.
This isn't going to last forever.
Peter DiCarlo from Johns Hopkins University says that's because carbon emissions can stay in the atmosphere for 100 years or more.
We're going to bounce back. A few months, maybe even a year of reduced emissions is really a small change when you think about the lifetime of CO2.
So we can verify there have been significant environmental changes, but when this is all over, we may jump right back to where we were. With your Verify, this is Evan Koslov.
And with record unemployment, our KGW Q&A webcast tomorrow focuses on who's hiring. Host Galen Etlin will take your questions as he talks with experts who help businesses find employers. You know, whether it's temp work or a long-term position. They'll cover where and how to look for a job. It starts at noon tomorrow. You can watch it on KGW.com or on any of our social media platforms. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here at 7 o'clock tomorrow.